So today, we're going to dive into a really simple, ancient fable. But don't let that simplicity fool you. It's got this incredibly powerful lesson about the kinds of traps we fall into today, often without even realizing it.
This idea? It's right at the heart of the story we're unpacking. Think about it. Sometimes the best things in life, the real treasures, can actually become these super secure prisons. So, how does that even happen?
All right, to really get that quote, we've got to go back in time. We're talking about a classic story, one from the Aesopic tradition. Now, it's a tale you might think you know, but trust me, we're about to look at it through a totally new lens.
So our story kicks off, like a lot of good ones do, with a simple character who's driven by a really basic need, right? Hunger. This little mouse, he spots an opportunity for, well, a feast. A whole basket full of corn. To him, that's not just food, it's security, it's abundance.
And right here, this is the first red flag. Getting in isn't exactly a walk in the park. He's got to squeeze, put in some real effort. But that corn looks so tempting. The promise of that reward is just too much to pass up. So of course, he pushes his way in.
Okay, so once he's inside, the mouse just goes for it. I mean, he doesn't just eat until he's full. He eats until he's practically bursting at the seams. He's just totally expanding into this newfound success, not thinking about tomorrow at all, just living in that moment of pure satisfaction.
And here it is, the twist. The very thing that made him successful, all that corn that made him fat and happy, is now the exact reason he's trapped. The source of his pleasure has become the walls of his prison.
Then a new character shows up on the scene, a weasel. And this weasel isn't about feelings or sympathy. Nope, it's the cold, sharp voice of logic, of reality. It doesn't offer a shoulder to cry on, just a harsh, undeniable truth. The only way you're getting out is by undoing the very thing that got you stuck.
So yeah, this is way more than just a cute story about a greedy mouse, right? It's a perfect metaphor for this psychological and even strategic problem that can hit any of us. It's a concept known as inflationary entrapment.
And this really gets to the core of it. The problem wasn't the corn. Not really. It was the mouse's inability to manage his own expansion. He got so full on his success that he literally lost his freedom to move. He basically inflated himself into his own prison.
What this fable does so brilliantly is set up this fundamental conflict that, let's be honest, plays out inside all of us. It's that constant battle between our impulsive desires, that's our inner mouse, and the cold, hard, unforgiving reality of consequences. That's our inner weasel.
And of course, this ancient pattern isn't really about mice and corn. It's about the baskets we find ourselves stuck in, right now, in our modern lives. The trap itself is timeless. It's just the bait that changes.
And you can see this dynamic playing out everywhere. Think about our personal lives, right? It's that huge mortgage that feels like a big achievement, but it chains you to a job you can't stand. Or in our relationships, maybe it's that social circle that gives you status, but stops you from being your authentic self. And in the professional world, it's the company that takes on so much funding and grows so fast that it can't pivot when the market inevitably shifts.
So in all three of these areas, personal, interpersonal, and professional, the pattern is exactly the same. We get lured in by the corn, we indulge, and we keep indulging until our commitments and our lifestyle make it impossible to just walk away. We're essentially trading our freedom tomorrow for that feeling of being full today.
Okay, so if these traps are literally all around us, how do we avoid ending up like the mouse? I mean, how do you enjoy the corn without getting locked in the basket? Let's dig into that. Let's talk about the solution. Well, the very first step is to ask ourselves a really, really tough question. We've got to take a hard look at the things in our lives that make us feel full, that make us feel successful, and be brutally honest. Are those the very same things that are holding us captive? The fable actually gives us a pretty practical guide here. First off, before you jump into that feast, check the exit. Always know your way out. And remember how the mouse had to squeeze to get in? That little bit of friction, that difficulty, that's a warning sign. It's also teaching us that real freedom means staying lean, staying nimble. And hey, if you're already feeling trapped, the only way out is to shed that excess. You have to get hungry again. Which brings us to a few really important, maybe a little uncomfortable questions we should all be asking ourselves. Like, am I still lean enough to just walk away from this situation, this job, this lifestyle? What do I need to let go of to be free again? And maybe most importantly, am I actually listening to that little voice in my head, my inner weasel, that's telling me a hard truth I'd rather ignore?
Adopting a simple mantra can make a huge difference here. Something like this:
It's a straightforward statement, but what it does is it completely reorients your priorities. It shifts you away from that short-term buzz and puts the focus back on long-term freedom and flexibility. Look, the takeaway here is not to avoid success or starve yourself. Not at all. It's about pursuing good things with your eyes wide open. Go for it. Enjoy the corn, enjoy the good things in life, but always, and I mean always, keep one eye on the exit. Just be aware of the constraints you're signing up for with every single choice.
So we're going to leave you with one last question to think about. Just take a second and really reflect on your own life, your job, your relationships, your whole lifestyle. What beautiful, tempting basket in your life might just be quietly, slowly becoming a prison?